When we open our eyes, it feels like we see everything, but we don't, not even close. Our senses are incredibly limited. Our eyes have a built in blind spot where the optic nerve connects to the retina. This completely misses any light that hits there. Our fields of focus. It's only about 5% of what's actually in our visual field. The rest is filled by rapid eye movements and, frankly, guesswork. Even that 5% is just a sliver of what reality there is. We see only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. Yet, we feel like we've got a firm grip on reality from what we see. We see, we touch, we hear, and that convinces us that we're perceiving the full truth. But it's all an illusion. What we call reality is a story. The mind tells itself in a picture built from limited data and old memories. Meanwhile, we walk through a sea of invisible fields. Radio waves, Bluetooth signals, Wi-Fi, TV, radar, all flowing around us. And we don't see them. We rarely feel them. But they're there. When I key this transmitter, I disturb a field, a radio wave. That's a ripple that can travel across the world and be received and decoded and tuned into as sound or images or meaning. Just like the waves on a pond, those signals interfere, merge, or cancel out, forming complex patterns. Matter itself is a disturbance in a deeper field. Quarks, gluons, electrons, all of it's a vibration in an underlying field. When those disturbances interact with our senses, we call it touch, taste, sound, and smell. But really, it's just information encoded in fields. We are the receivers. We decode the invisible. And what we call reality is just a part of a signal we're built to pick up. Electrons orbit nuclei. Atoms bind into molecules, and molecules form things. Step by step, layer patterns emerge until somehow this dance of fields becomes you watching this video, wondering what all this means. Reality, it turns out, may be recursive. Patterns on top of patterns, layers unfolding into layers. The atom is mostly empty space. So is the solar system. So is the universe. Look up in the sky and you see all the stars and galaxies and planets. They're vast distances apart from each other. And that's similar to how the nuclei and the electrons and the protons are in the atoms in your body. You can compare it pretty similar to outer space and the solar system. There are vast distances between the nucleus and the electrons of the atom. It's 99.99% empty space. And yet, we see things, we feel things, we touch things, but those are signals. Those are electromagnetic signals. When when you think you're touching something, the negative charges in the atoms on your fingers are being repelled, just like similar poles of a magnet. They're being repelled from each other because every other piece of matter has negative electrons orbiting the nucleus. So you can't ever touch anything. You get close, you get real close, but the strong force is so strong, it's repelling. The charge is repelling the atoms in your fingers from whatever you're trying to touch. Sight and sound and all that, it's all electrochemical signals that your brain gets. The air vibrates against your eardrum, and your eardrum produces electrochemical in your brain, and your synapses fire, and all of that is electric circuitry. It's all just signals. So where are we here? And yet we feel solid. We seem stable. But that's only because our senses are tuned to detect density and resistance. We see thin layers of the differences and we call it real. Fields pass through us all the time. Radio waves, cosmic rays, magnetic pulses, and we don't feel them. They pass right through the emptiness of us. All those spaces between the electrons and the nucleus, those empty spaces, if the charges don't interact, it goes right through. So right now, there's all kinds of particles passing right through you, but they just don't interact, and you don't see them, you don't feel them, and you don't touch them. But the ones we interact with, the ones that slow down and push back, we call real. Not that different from the galaxies we see at night, the vast emptiness, the tiny dots of lights. When a field is excited by a measurement, it interacts with another field, the Higgs field. Like dragging your hand through the water, it experiences a kind of friction. That friction slows the wave and gives the structure to mass, and it becomes what we call a particle. So what is reality? Reality is made of fields, not particles floating in space, fields of energy vibrating across space and time. Everything we see, matter, light, even forces, emerge from these invisible fields. But here's the thing. Nothing happens in these fields until there's a measurement. Something interacts. Something asks a question of the field. And when that happens, the field responds. A ripple, a pattern, a particle appears. Just like when I toss the pebbles into the pond and cause the ripples across the pond. When we take a measurement, when we look at a particle, at a thing, that particle appears. Whether it's coming from the senses of your eyes and hands and mouth and whatever, that's all pure signals. How would a brain getting the exact same signals, even if it's in a jar, ever know it's in the jar? As far as it's concerned, it's living a normal life, walking a dog, eating ice cream, laughing with friends. Well, all of it. It's just pure signals. Imagine if you could simulate every sense, every touch, smell, taste, balance, and all do it with perfect harmony, perfect timing. Would you still remember? I'm not in that world. Let's push that even further with a mind experience. A brain in the jar. Yeah, it's crude and creepy, but it's worth thinking about. Imagine a brain connected to a computer. The computer sends a signal that perfectly mimics the nervous system that normally delivers signals. The brain feels the body, sees the world, and remembers a life. So tell me, how could it possibly know it's just a brain in a jar? Wow. You ever put on a headset and forget, even for a moment, that reality is a game? Our brains take in raw electric signals. Light hitting the retina, sound hitting the eardrum, and converts them into experience. But here's the twist. We never actually see the light or hear the sound. We see and hear the mind's rendering of that input.
Now I can explain, with this new theory of consciousness, I can explain exactly what happened and exactly why that is correct. Every single one of us is a field that is both the observer, the observed, and the actor.